Thanks, Susie. Thanks for having
Thanks.
us
Susan. Yes.
on your and Sam, both of you, for having us here today. So we're going to be we'll introduce ourselves, right, Holly? First.
Yes, we will. You want to go first?
Yeah. Okay then. So
Well,
I'm Abigail Zealey Bess, and this is my incredible writer partner, Holly Harms.
yes, and I'm Holly Harms, the screenwriter, and Abigail and I have known each other for many years. We were both at Ensemble Studio Theater as actresses,
Hmm.
and Abigail made her move into becoming the amazing director that she is, both of theater and of film. And I made my move into playwriting and screenwriting. So we've known each other since when we were just the young, get
We
in
were
the way kids.
nubile innocence. How long
Yes.
is that? Actually, how long is that, Holly? It must be what? Is it
It,
20? No, it's not that
it,
long.
it's, no, it's more than that. I think it's 25 years.
That's even more frightening. Okay.
We've
So
known each
that's 12 when we met.
other. Yeah. We were 10 when we met, if you remember that.
So,
But
so
yeah, it's been a long time.
it has been longer. And what we're going to talk about today is our foray into making this film, Icarus Stops for Breakfast, which was a feat, a love feat, wasn't it? A labor of love, I would
Yes,
say.
it was. It
And
was.
inspired by Holly. And Holly, perhaps you want to start with why we made this film, which was
I was reading a short story by Rick Bass, and it was such an interesting short story that I asked Abigail to meet me at a bar that no longer exists and we sat down and I pushed the book to her and said, I think this is a screenplay. And I believe you went home that night, read it, and got
Mhm.
back to me the next day and said, let's do it. There were questions because it has, as you can see a picture up there, there is within the short story and in the screenplay an owl, a donkey, a parliament of owls, and one
Okay.
pig. So when we started working on it, I said, Abigail, should I keep all of that in there? And she said, absolutely. So it's what took us so long was all the CGI
It
and working with the animals.
it was
But
that
Woodstock was amazing. Woodstock was the owl.
this is a picture of the owl that we ended up because we obviously had to bring in animal handlers to work with the animals, and I have to say that Woodstock took everybody by storm.
Oh,
Everyone was very much captivated
yeah,
by her. All our
just
animals were good
imagine it.
as well. So so I guess when we first started, once we decided we were going to make the film, which is a short film, it's based on this story eating, as Holly mentioned. The first thing that we had to do was get the rights. So that took quite a while, didn't it, Holly? Before we
Oh,
even started looking for the location.
I think that took almost a year. I would go to your apartment once a week with Beatrice, my daughter, who was very little then, and we would be on the phone with Rick Bass, the writer, and his lawyer, just discussing with them. Rick had so many people talk to him about possibly turning any one of his other short stories into a film, and it never happened. So he was very cautious with us. But we kept wooing him and kept
Yes.
letting him know that we really, really are interested, and his lawyer, David. And eventually they said yes. And we got the contracts to them, they signed them, and next was to raise money, find a location. The diner was so important.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting because I think the Phoenicia diner, which will actually come up in the pictures. Oh, there's a picture of the amazing CGI there. Where the diner that we found, Phoenicia was probably was one of the first diners we saw, wasn't it? I seem to
Yeah,
remember.
yeah,
I mean, this is a
yeah,
long time ago. This was like what, 5, 6 years ago.
yeah.
And we were very lucky with the owner of that diner because because again we spent about a year wooing him too, Mike, who owns the Phoenicia Diner, in order to film there. As you know, to shoot in a restaurant, it would cost a almighty amount of money to close it down. So we were very fortunate because what happened with Mike was he was doing renovations, I think, right? Is that right, Holly? I don't
It
remember.
was he closed it between Thanksgiving and the week after Thanksgiving. He would shut it down
Yeah.
just for whatever reason. And we actually did. We would go up once every 2 weeks. We would get in the car, drive all the way up to Phoenicia, be like, "Hi, Mike." We wooed him, and he kept. I think he said, "Wow, you're really serious about this," and we were like, "We're really serious about this." He's also in the business. Mike does sets for television. So
Yeah.
he understood. Yeah. So we wanted to do it in the summer, but then he offered us this week of shooting. So right after Thanksgiving. So that's what we did. And it was perfect. It was the perfect diner. He gave us the woman who works there as the hostess stayed and took care of us. We have coffee ready for the cast and crew every day. It was really incredibly magical.
Yeah, because we also had to house everyone up there. So, in fact, this wood area that you see was one of the streets where we shot all our driving shots. Um, you can see this in the background here. Can you see that arrow when I do this?
Uh-huh.
So we had to house our. Holly found this incredible house up in the right up by nearby the diner where we all stayed. So we had probably like a crew of 20, right?
It
15,
was
20.
20 cast and crew. The house slept, and it was through Airbnb. And again, they gave us a great deal. It was really, like I said, everything's so magical, but it was through Airbnb. He said, "That's fantastic. Just leave it as you found it," which we really took care of it.
Yeah.
And it was kind of nice that cast and crew, we got to spend every evening together, eating together, sitting around a table, talking. My husband was our caterer, basically. He really was a chef, and our idea that Abigail and I both thought, we can't really pay everybody, but we're going to make sure that they eat really, really well, and they did.
Yeah, I mean I think the only person we were able to pay was the sound guy, which is vital,
Yeah,
always in these situations, and our
yeah.
DP, our director of photography, so who actually I have worked with previously on another film. So we shot this. This film was actually shot on a Canon 5D, I think. So it was, and he had obviously all the lenses and all the equipment that you needed that came with it. But we were just very fortunate in many ways. Shall I move on with another picture? How's about that? But actually, what I was going to say, because as Holly mentioned before, the reason it took about 5 years to finish this film, and you'd think that was a feature, right? But it's not. It's 12 minutes and 27 seconds. So we actually got a very wonderful CG Paul Turcott on board via one of our producers, Warren Etheridge, who also brought the composer on board as well. So he did this. He also did like a Parliament. You won't actually see this in the trailer, which we'll show later, but he also did all the CGI owls flying above. So he did a great job, obviously. Oh, there's stuff.
And he was our third editor. He was
Sorry.
he was like the third CGI person that everyone.
No, no, actually, Stu was our third editor. We had three editors on it. And Paul did all the CGI, so which is it's a own skill in itself. But this is the diner, guys. That was and there's sorry, I'm obviously obsessed with the owl. There's many pictures of the owl. So did we what as far as casting the film, Holly, it was very easy for us because
We knew who we wanted.
it was
I mean,
the
we're all ensemble studio theater actors, and we all know each other, so
yeah.
we knew exactly who we wanted, and who would fit the parts perfectly. And Molly and Bobby, who you see right now in the picture, were absolutely perfect.
And actually, do you want to say what the story was? Because I don't think we didn't say what the story covered, right? Which was the story of these two young, well, the new
Misfit.
misfit lovers who are on their first camping adventure.
He's taking her on her first canoe ride, and they end up at this diner that has a lot of old. It's almost if they go back a little bit in time.
Yeah.
Everyone at the diner is very suspicious of them. There's a donkey that suddenly is in the diner in the bathroom. It's all just very strange thing that happens. But these two, as we watch them, we realize they're really perfect for one another because they're both very quirky individuals.
They're both quirky and very funny. They have a great sense of comedy, and you might recognize the waitress here, who's Kathy Curtin, who was in Orange Is the New Black. So
And
she's also
also Orange is the New Black and also Stranger Things, one
yes.
of the mothers in Stranger Things.
So
And
we all
she and I,
as well, right?
she and I
EST.
yeah, again, EST, she and I also knew each other. Our children both went to the same elementary school, and we would and live in the same neighborhood. And I literally went up to her and said, "Got this part? Would you be?" And she was like, "Yeah, sure, I'll do it." Which kept happening, especially with our crew. People would read the script and fall in love with this story and say, "I'm in."
And also the other thing that I was going to mention, which you can see in the background, there's all this snow. We actually got there. We shot this over 5 days, I think, or was it 4 days?
Yeah.
And it's so long ago. So when we got there on that Friday, we shot the initial when the kids arrive at the diner shot. So we shot that whole sequence, and then overnight it snowed. So we had to reshoot the whole thing, which wasn't that much actually. It was just them driving up and looking at the food outside that's being cooked. But it was kind of this again was when you say it's magical. That was another for me. It was like I always imagined it being having this winter wonderland feel about it. So we lucked
Yeah,
out with that too, didn't we?
we did. We did. We lucked out pretty much with everything. The animals, the cast, the crew. We had Tim Bruno, who was our props finder and pretty much everything go-to man, constantly would say, "Oh, I've got this for you guys, and I found this for you guys." And the truck that you see there, he rigged the canoe on top. He was like, "Oh, I can do this easily." So everything just kept falling into place beautifully. For the shoot, it was fantastic. The guy who was the handler for Woodstock, the owl, allowed everyone to hold her. So everyone got to have her on their wrist, which it was just so amazing. And you don't realize how they weigh practically nothing. They're really just mostly feathers. And she was very calm, and because she was on the cast, the crew, everyone's arms.
Yeah, she was. Oh, she was really quite magical. Oh, this is a quick shot of
That's
the
Jill.
donkey. Yeah, Jill the donkey, who was actually the supposedly the best trained animal and was the most difficult. So we had quite a few problems with trying to get Jill to put her head through the window, which she did not want to do.
No, no. So we figured out some new things to do with Jill, which unfortunately meant that we had to bring Jill into the diner. So a
Yeah.
very large animal now in a diner. Monica's there, who is the hostess, literally looked at it walking in and said, just turned her back and said, "I don't see this. I don't see this." She wasn't in there very long, and we did clean up afterwards. But yes, for a brief moment, Jill was in the diner because it was the only way to take. It was the longest shoot, I think, just that little bit with
Well, just
Bobby.
because she wouldn't do what we needed her to do, because the part of the story is she just sticks. Like I said, it's a very quirky, weird fairy story where the owl gets picked up by these two inadvertently by the two driving in their canoe, and then this owl has this kind of magic spell which causes Bobby, otherwise known as Russell, to eat and eat and eat. So it's a very incredible appetite. Um, and this was actually this was like when he goes to kind of have a battle with the owl to try and get the owl off the truck. So I don't know if you can see the people in the background there, but those were our four old timers. And then Denny Bess played the chef who cooks all the food, and Kathy, of course, and is the waitress there.
And all the old timers were locals up in the area, up in the Hudson Valley. So again, the Hudson Valley Film Commission gave us their space for auditions. And these guys waltzed in looking like that. And it was like, well, and opened their mouths, and we were like, you're cast. We're done. That was easy. Moving on.
Yeah, it was, they were great, actually. So
They were great. Yeah, perfect characters.
Real old timers and real characters. What do you think, Holly, what do you think was the most difficult part of the shoot? Was there, if we had to name it?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I guess the fact that we traveling back and forth, but everybody was there on time, and we had Anna Maria driving everyone. I mean, I don't think there.
What's that? Sorry?
I don't think there was anything. I just remember watching it as it was unfolding, and everyone just hitting their mark so beautifully, except of course for Jill. But it was just one of these. I loved it. I loved every second of it, and I don't think maybe I think the hardest thing for me was that I didn't order enough pizza the one time, and so I had to drive back and order 4 more pizzas. That probably was the most difficult. But everything else, even when we also have a 400-pound pig in it, and
that was
Queenie, and she was Queenie. They drove her in, and she had a sharp out. She had a hard out. They had to leave because they were going to a funeral. That Queenie knew the person, and they wanted Queenie to be there.
And at first,
at the funeral.
She was going to her own funeral, but then swiftly realized
that she was. Oh no! He was like, no, she's our pet. This is our girl. But yeah, and Queenie was, it had a few difficulties, but I don't. What do you think, Abigail? Was the hardest?
Probably Jill the donkey. Apart from that, because they always say in films you should never work with animals or children because they do what the hell they want. And it's very true, they really do. But the thing is, you can't beat the kind of performance that you get out of an animal or a child because it's so natural and it's, very, very magical, captivating usually. But so that was really the one thing that we were just trying to get this shot. And we only had the animals for a certain amount of time, which was kind of interesting as well because you were under time limit. I think we only had Jill, the scene that we had to film with Jill was like, 3 hours or something that we had to shoot everything that she was had to do. And then the wild thing was though with the owl with Woodstock, she was so well behaved, and I think it was her owner was really a lovely person, Tom.
The handler and Woodstock, I mean, the two of them were so connected that would just look at each other, and you knew that they were. And he was so gentle with her and so in love with her. I know his dad had been a bird trainer also, so he was there was a history of this in his family, and the two of them really were extraordinary to watch. Even the cast, several people said, look at them. That's amazing. This human and this animal are so connected. So she listened to everything he said, all of his cues, everything.
And just and in fact, what they had to do was attach. I don't know if I have another. Oh yeah, actually, yeah. This is right at the end of the film actually that we have this shot of Woodstock, and I don't know if you can see, but there's a very thin wire here because she had to fly as well. She had to fly off the canoe.
It's a very long tether. It's a very long tether.
So she was attached to that tether so that she obviously couldn't fly off and then never be to be found again. But one of the things that Tom said was at one point he said, "Oh, can we bring her inside because it's unusual to see owls out during the day?" And so there were actually some hawks circling above.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So he said, "Can we bring her in for a bit just until they go away because they would attack." So. But he was, like I say, it was like amazing. She was amazing. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, I was just thinking as well, when we first started putting it all together, I mean, there was quite a bit of production values that went into it with regards to um, the dino. Although the dino looked right from the beginning. I do actually have some, which I'll get into those pictures. Oh, that was the other thing I was going to mention. We had our, what's it called? Our drone.
Drone.
We had a drone camera as well. So we had
And
a
the drone camera, again, was free because he wanted, it was new to him. He wanted shots. He came on to be a part of this to see what he could do.
yeah.
He went off one day on his own and just took shots of the landscape, everything. It was perfect.
Yeah, and it's he had a couple of drones actually. He had a bigger and a smaller drone, but
Yeah, big one.
they're quite tricky to work. And I think one of the drones actually, I think it broke, didn't it? But fortunately, we were able to get all the footage that we wanted with the other drones. So, and this is here as a drone shot, which is that is quite incredible actually, because
Incredible.
you can do so much
So I,
footage, different.
I, if I can say this, Abigail Zealey Bass, I want to toot your horn because you knew every shot you wanted, so that you had extra time each day to just go and try some things,
Yeah,
do
yeah.
something. So when you went into editing, when you went into the cutting room, you had all of this extra stuff that you were able to toss in because you were on time. Shots, everything happened, and boom, 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 and we would get done, and then let's go try. Again, everyone. It was a collaboration of everyone, and
It was
so
crew. And
the
I mean, our DP, Alan, if I give him credit, he's a very fast shooter also. So, like he didn't waste any time getting
didn't waste
shots.
any time. Yeah.
Yeah, had always knew how to get it. It was interesting though, wasn't it? Because we were able to get a lot of things that we didn't think that we needed that turned out to be very, very helpful in the editing room. Um, to
Fried eggs. Cracking.
Yeah, there was a lot of food, which I don't know. Well, you'll see in the trailer, um, when we showed the trailer at the end of this, that Barbie had to eat an inordinate amount of food, and we had to have a like a spit bucket because even though he's got a big appetite, not even he could eat all the food we asked him to eat. We should mention this poster because this was designed by a very talented person, Gaynor Zealey.
Yes. Thank you, Gaynor. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's absolutely, it's just so beautiful.
So, and we've actually been very fortunate over it's funny, you always think you never know with film festivals how a film is going to hit, and you can do all the right things and it doesn't really go to any, but we've been very fortunate. And I wonder if COVID is responsible for this, I have to say. But we have been accepted into and also won quite a few awards with this film, so which has been very gratifying, and we are completely grateful to everybody for
Oh,
helping.
yeah. Well, today it's Los Angeles,
Yes,
we're,
yes, yeah.
so
My
we're at 22, so we've got now 23 film festivals we've been accepted into and won 12 awards, including Best Actress for Kathy Curtin. So,
yes,
and
yeah,
and the genre, we cover everything from best fantasy to coming of age. It's been an interesting how this film has been so attracted people and moved people.
yeah,
And like
because it's not really a normal, straightforward story, is it? There's something very
no,
quirky,
yeah.
like a quirky fairy story. I can actually, if I escape this, I can actually open the other shots, which are behind the scenes as
Oh,
well.
yeah.
So, and Holly, was it difficult for you to write the script? Because I mean, when you found that script, it was very good in that there's little dialogue, so
Yeah.
it's immediately lends itself to a very cinematic experience. But would you say that, did you find it hard to write the script? Because you did a great job, of course.
Thank you. No, I didn't, but you were a great editor. And so I feel that the first draft that I sent you was close, and then you threw out ideas that I then went back. I think it was 3 drafts that we worked on together, and boom, 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 when we were done. Because we both, having read the story so many times, understood how the story could unfold on camera.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, this is the first day, I think. This is the first day.
This was the first day. So we're moving into the behind the scenes now.
So
this was our very first driving shots that we shot, which was on this deserted road. Because this is the other thing, you know, when you do these driving shots, you're supposed to get the permission of the police, which obviously we did, because you don't want anything weird happening, like any accidents, or suddenly, you know, somebody comes and says you can't shoot here. But the police were amazing. They just kind of said, well, good luck, break a leg. And we didn't see them the entire time. Oh, there's Joe, the drone guy, right there.
Yep, there's the drone. Yep, the smaller one.
Yeah, this was, like I say, the driving shots with the chaps. So there you see Holly.
Oh.
Who's that?
There's Woodstock inside with us, and that's the handler who's in between Kathy and Bobby.
So he was the chap that was the inspiration with Woodstock.
And that's Woodstock over my head.
And there's Mr. Denny Bess, who played the chef.
And we decided that we would put it after Christmas or so. There was decoration. We decorated it. I will shoot again Monica, because Monica was watching everything, making coffee for everyone and watching. And there was one shot where she turned to me and she said, you know, the blinds weren't like that last time they did this scene. I was like, all right. And all the guys were like, Monica. So everyone was so, it was really, oh.
Yeah, she's amazing. So we had to do, I mean, really, aside from the decorations that we introduced for Christmas time to make it even more magical with the lights and all that kind of thing, we didn't really have to do that much to the diner, because it was this very classic diner in the style of those. Well, there's Denny with the owl. As you can see, there's I don't know if you can see from this picture, but the diner was just this classic retro diner that I guess was very popular in the 60s, 50s, 60s. And he's kept it in that style.
Yeah, he did a great job with it, Mike. Beautiful diner.
There's the pig. Not me.
There's Queenie.
That was Queenie. So
the problem with Queenie was she was lying down and she needed to stand up, so that the owner eventually climbed into the truck and is holding her up for the shot.
Because this was for the shot right at the end of the film, when Queenie comes to be slaughtered, apparently. Yeah,
it's a great diner, and it had enough space and room for everyone. It was just perfect.
Do you think that if there's anything, would you have changed anything that we did? Was there anything that you?
No. I mean, it's funny because when we first started, I mean, the idea was that it was a canoe trip in the summertime, but of course we were offered space for free.
Yeah.
And to be honest, the outfits, the clothes, the fact that the men were all, you know, our locals had this great look in these great sweaters and jackets, and the snow, I ended up loving. So happy accidents.
It was.
Stay open, I guess, is what I've learned over the years of writing screenplays and how things go. Stay open.
Well, you never know, do you? You really don't. So
you never know. And
this is the scene actually with the donkey, which I don't know if you can see this behind Bobby's or Russell, Bobby the actor, Russell the character's head is the window, and the donkey was supposed to put her head through the window in order to take the toilet paper. So and then depart. But like as Holly said, we couldn't get her. The only way we could get her into the bathroom was through the door. So that's what we did. Which actually which added to the story and made it even more bizarre. Um,
It really did.
so yeah, it was just like very bizarre. Um, But you can see it was kind of interesting as well because, we have the snow, we had that whole atmosphere created this, this great Christmas atmosphere along with the fact that we had all the decorations. But it was surprising how quickly that snow melted, but it still kind of matched in a weird way because it was such a weird story that you accepted it. That as you can see, because, this is Jill the donkey was then goes around the other part of the restaurant, and you can see like some of the snow had already started to melt. In fact, I don't think you can see any in that shot, can you?
No, no, there's none there. No.
So
Benicia Diner.
yeah. Were there? I was also thinking about the other locations that we went to because was there anything that came close to this one? I don't think there was there?
No, there wasn't. No, we tried up here in Pennsylvania, looking and drove around and talked to people. Started looking at New York, and this was the first one upstate New York that we looked at. And
Which
Mike was wary of it, but we we just kept showing up.
yeah.
Just kept showing up and buying food and eating there and saying we really seriously want to do this film here. Oh, there's trying to get Jill through the window. Poor thing.
Yeah.
I think he was afraid of standing on that.
Well, I think also the problem was I think she thought someone was going to chop her head off the minute she put her head through the window.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I think she was like, I'm not going to put my head through there.
I'm not doing that.
And her handlers were so frustrated. She was getting much more and more agitated, Jill. So I don't think we did what we had to do.
Yeah, yeah, which worked in the end. So
And Mike did find out about it. I will just say that Mike did find out about it because someone was driving by and watched a donkey go into the diner and called him. But we explained, very quickly, we're gonna get her out and take care of stuff. And there's Molly getting makeup and hair.
yeah, we had a very, I mean, everybody, that was Tessa, right? Tessa was great actually
Yeah.
because she was great with makeup. She was great with hair, and she originally came on as a second AD. That's Sean in the background who was our first AD, so the
Mhm.
assistant director. But Tessa had this multitude of skills, so she was really great in
She was
so many ways.
also she was also on Twitter, sending out pictures of us and things that we were doing. So she was really putting Icarus immediately out there for people,
Yep, she was.
which I think was so helpful. And putting it out to people who had helped for the GoFundMe. So I think it was very helpful that she was there and letting them know we're doing it. And there are
Absolutely.
guys.
I mean, and that's the interesting. I was thinking, people always wonder how you get to make a film. Like, when you're making a film, what does it involve? And one of the things that we did have to do was raise the money, and because you try not to use your own money whenever possible because it's so bloody expensive filmmaking. So we raised $30,000 over
Mhm.
a month, and all I can say was I was so knackered by the end of it.
Oh,
It's
my goodness.
raising
I was
money.
exhausted by the end of it. Yeah, asking for money. But I mean, we asked every single person
We did.
that we knew. We really said if you can only give 10. And I think that our push was really personable and thankful to people. So yeah, it was difficult, but I loved. We worked on a short little film to say, here we are, director and writer, and we really want you guys to, give us money. This is the story. It's a
Yeah.
short story by Rick Bath called Eating, and so yeah, we did really well. I mean, 30,000 and all the free things that we got us so far, so far. So always ask if you know anybody, ask them for help. We had friends coming and joining us just to drive
Oh yeah.
cast back and forth.
Yeah.
Um,
A lot of people just were very helpful and giving in so many ways. It was
yeah,
quite
yeah,
wonderful.
yeah.
And these are our four old timers who were from the local. right, were from Woodstock actually itself. And the hilarious thing is that the second chap here, Norm Aronson here, this chap here, he he came to one of the festivals at Yonkers because he felt, obviously when we were showing it, we said, please come if you can. And he was the guy that had done the tally sheet. He was doing this tally sheet of showing how many eggs, as I say, Russell eats and eats and eats and eats, and he's doing this tally sheet. And he actually brought the tally sheet. This was like 4 years later, wasn't it? To the festival in a frame, which I thought was hilarious. And gave it to us. I was like, you kept it that long, man. That's impressive. But
yeah. It's also he's very that scene, the little short of him in the tally. We go back to it a lot. So he was quite surprised to see how prominent he is in the film.
Yeah. But that was kind of the great thing was everybody had a very equal part to play. Even it was very not many characters, obviously. It's the four main actors, and then our four old timers. So it's just 8 actors, and then of course the animals who were stars within themselves. But that made it a lot easier to handle as well, I think.
Yes, and I just want to shout out to the All Tame Animals, which was the group that we found all of the animals through. They just have a huge amount of trainers and different animals, and they were so helpful. And I still, to this day, get a Christmas card from them every year. I do. I get a little Merry Christmas. So this was the part of the food that was being made. And again, Tim Bruno found this. Oh, what are those things called?
What is it, like a grill? Some kind of grill?
Yeah, huge grill. He found it and hauled it over.
And actually, do you remember we shot that scene with the Bobby and Sissy? They get out of the car and they walk to the grill, and he goes, "Oh, I'm hungry," and hence, that's how the story begins. But because we shot that scene the Friday when we arrived, and then we didn't think we'd have to reshoot this, obviously, but then it snowed off overnight. So he had to pull all of this food out of the dumpster and reset it. I was like, oh my God, like he was dedicated. That's
Yep. Yeah.
Obviously nobody had to eat it. I'm not saying that anybody ate it, so. But,
and didn't Denny wasn't the cook there helping Denny?
Yes, we did. We had the chap in the kitchen who was wonderful, who helped do all the food as well. Because obviously that food that was being cooked the whole time. There's Holly by the grill, feeling peckish. I think that's that's the last photo of you, Holly. It's like to finish.
Yeah.
So we could. I don't know how we're doing for time now, but
we should show the trailer. I think.
For the trailer.
Yeah.
It went. That went cool. Okay. So and then we could open the floor, right, Susie, to questions.
Yeah, sounds great.
Okay, I'm just gonna play the trailer here.
Okay.
It's not very long, chaps, so no worries. About 59 seconds, I think.
Ma'am, 3 eggs fried and ham.
That's the end. Okay. So I can, I'm going to come out of that now. Okay. There you go.
Okay.
And if we want to, I don't know if there's anyone around to, oh, I see if anyone has any questions.
Yeah, I think everyone's there. Everyone should be unmuted now.
Oh, it doesn't do that.
If anyone's got any questions.
It doesn't work, mate.
Gaynor, we can hear you.
Oh, can you? Can you see me? Sorry, honestly, I've had to do this on my phone because it just would not have it on the iPad. It was just saying no, no, ringing, and it was just like, what the hell is going on here? It was like I was doing a personal call to you both. Well, you're tiny, actually. You're on the phone, and I have put the camera on, but maybe you can't see me because I'm not quite sure about this platform at all.
Well, we can hear you, which is the main thing. Also, who's that other lovely lady? Student?
Oh, yeah, I'm Sammy, sorry. I can't work out how to get it to say my actual name, so I'm going to work that out at some point.
What's your name? What's your name? Sammy? Did you say Sammy?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, Gaynor, do you have any questions? Sammy, do you have any questions?
No, I
Adrian.
don't. I think you covered it because it was really good because you two were bouncing off each other so well that you would actually ask each other the questions that I think we wanted to ask. So like, oh, would you change anything? Oh, what would you do? And it was just like, yeah, we do stuff really
Yeah, I
well.
had the same every time I thought of a question. You guys covered it.
Oh, good.
So I have a question then for you. So do you could you tell from the trailer? Could you gauge what the film was about? Because I don't think we will have once said the entire story. We just kind of like touched on bits and pieces of it.
Yeah.
Could you tell what the story was? I'm just curious.
No, it kind of drew you in though. You wanted to know more. You could see there was just more, there was so much eating going on and the chemistry between the two of them. So you just kind of wanted to know where that was going. And yeah, it's good.
Oh,
Yeah,
good.
Good. Yeah, actually, I mean, Gaynor, have you got any questions? Gaynor's seen the film though, haven't you? Gay?
I've seen it, and I'm not going to ask any questions. Adrian's here. Adrian, would you like to ask a question?
Oh, Adrian, ask a question.
Ask a question, Adrian. Come on. Well, actually, you did actually answer it because Adrian was saying about the amount of food that guy eats.
Yeah.
And he said, did he eat all that? And I went, well, no, surely not. No, they must have. Maybe they shot it over a few days, and he ate breakfast every day, and then they pieced it together. I don't know, but obviously not.
No,
I will say
it was very
Gaynor,
specific.
listen, he did eat. He didn't eat for 2 days, Bobby, prior to the shooting of this, because it was the next day. So he didn't. So he did eat quite a bit, but there did come a point where he was like, I can't finish this food because it was so much food. There are grits that are coming in. I mean, it's never ending. And the end of it, I mean, can I say what the final lines are? Because they're pretty funny.
Yes.
As they're driving away, she looks at him very calmly and says, are you always like this? And he answers with, like what? And we know, and they both start laughing, and we know, okay, so these two oddballs are perfect. They're perfect. And as it drives away. Sammy, I wanted to ask you, are you a student of, or since it says student of
Yeah,
film?
I'm not posing. I am actually a student. I just coming to the end of my first year of fine art, and Susie's actually one of my tutors. So yeah,
That's
really good.
Fantastic. Oh, fantastic. Well, thank you for joining us today. Oh, how's it going so far?
Oh, it's great. It's completely not what I expected it to be, which is actually a really good thing. So yeah, it's really, really good. It's amazing.
What did you expect it to be?
I think because I thought it would be quite traditional, and the course is not. It's very, very contemporary, so it's really, really good. So it's just taken all my work in completely different directions, which is what's needed, really, isn't it? So
Yeah.
it's good.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
What are you at?
What, Gaynor?
I said, what college are
Oh,
you
I'm at
at?
University of Gloucestershire.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
okay. Cool.
So where are you? Are you in Gloucestershire now?
Yeah, I'm in Cheltenham. I live in Cheltenham. I'm actually disabled, so I live with my husband and my kids, and it just meant that obviously the local university was the best place to be,
Hmm.
and I just happened to luck out with the course being so good. So yeah, I'm really, really happy. Really happy.
Excellent. Congrats.
Thank
Well,
And
you.
thanks for joining us.
yeah. This
Can
is
I ask a question?
yes, Susie.
Please.
Just made
Well,
something up.
it's part comment, part question. But I found it really interesting because I couldn't stop looking at Kathy. It is Kathy, isn't it, the waitress? And thinking, but no, you should be in prison. Which is like, that's my comment. And then the question is more about like future or current works. Obviously, the film you finished a while ago, didn't you? And
Yeah.
what are you kind of hoping to work on in the future? Is it kind of on pause because of what's happening with COVID, or are you able to kind of push forward projects?
That's a great question because I mean I think actually Holly and I should do a feature together, Holly.
I think so.
I really do. But right now, I mean, the great thing about COVID is you can work on pre-production, so development of that. Like I have 2 films I'm developing with 2 writers. But Holly, I mean, Holly and I have such a great experience because Holly's very dramatic, so she's super organized in every respect, which you have to be when you're in a film. You have to be.
Yeah.
There's so much that can go wrong that the more prepared you are, the better it is. So, and Holly is one of those taskmasters, mistresses, I should say, that just is like on top of every detail. So that was incredible for me because I'm also extremely anal.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Two
Yeah.
of you then.
Yeah, that's why the days went by so fast because we were able to get things done because we're both so organized. And
Yeah,
yeah, it's the German military in me to keep things organized. I also think you because we both come from theater and we understand the word collaboration really well, that we made everyone feel and know how important if someone had an idea or a thought, Abigail would listen. Totally to it. And
yeah,
oftentimes, well, let's try it because we had the time to do the let's try it.
yeah, yeah.
So everyone felt very connected to this, and it was a family. And also, again, that we stayed in the same home together was perfect. Yeah,
What's,
yeah.
did I do that? Did I?
I think
So,
something happened. But I've been writing. I write for School of Visual Arts students. I write the screenplays with them that I've been doing since this. A lot of them happen to also be very magical and have things that are quite different. But I'm trying different things constantly. So I've written a full-length sci-fi, which I woke up one morning with, and but yeah, it's interesting because it is truly a collaboration with director and screenwriter, and Abigail and I just understand each other completely.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was very easy. I mean, and you kind of want that in any kind of film collaboration or theatre collaboration for that matter, because it's there's so much that goes into making something happen. And actually, we mentioned also the fact that Warren Etheridge, actually, who's one of our producers, he had brought on the composer who did the whole original film score because it really did a great film score, beautiful music. And this is also the beauty of being able to communicate, remotely. He was in Seattle, so he composed, and I was here in New York. So he composed the whole thing while being in Seattle. And then the guy, Paul, who did Turcotte, who did our, CGI, he was also in Seattle. So, and it's incredible that you can do that now. You don't have to be in the city. That used to be very difficult, but now it's like everybody does that. It's kind of brilliant, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Brilliant way to work. But I don't think anything's going to be quite the same once we all go back to the new normal. I think people have learned. Well, I mean, you have this, the Zoom and the Blue Jeans app. I mean, they're all just new ways to communicate, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And do you find working in, did you work in England before working in the States? And is it different? Have you had to kind of adjust, or is it?
I've been here so long now, honestly. It's like I've probably been here longer than I've been in England. Not true. But I was an actor back in England, so I had a very different head on.
Yeah.
And it wasn't till I came to America that I started to direct, and really that's my true métier, I think, more than acting. I think actors have such tremendous courage. I don't know how they do it sometimes, honestly, and I used to do it, but it just takes such an incredible amount of courage and vulnerability to be good at that trade. So, but yeah, it wasn't difficult. I didn't find it difficult to adjust to being here. It was very inspiring, actually, because obviously now it's not the city that never sleeps. It's like fast asleep. But it really suited my energy. The pace of the city suited everything. I mean, I just don't like to sleep much anyway. So, and Holly, you've got energy that goes for days as well, don't you?
Oh, yes, yes, I do. Yes, I do. But I wanted to say something about what you were saying about being an actress and then switching. I do feel it's so important for directors and writers, especially directors, to have been on the stage or have been in front of a camera themselves. Just understand what it means to embody the story and how every actor, finds their way through it differently. Everyone's not, it's not, you are so gentle with everyone and allowing them to find their way, however that way is, knowing that they're going to find it, figure it out, and it's going to come together. But that, I think, is because you've been on the stage yourself. You've been in front of the camera yourself. I'm the same with me. We know. I know, how easy dialogue is to say, or this is going to be really hard to get out of my mouth. All right. Yeah. So, yeah.
It makes
Because as a writer, I read every part and I've acted the whole thing out already before it ever gets done. So yeah, I think it's very important to have had some time on the stage yourself or in front of the camera yourself.
Yeah, I agree. No, it's you have a different kind of feel for. You're also not scared of actors. I think a lot of directors, unfortunately, when they first go into this, have not experienced very often working with an actor, so they're very cautious. And I think when you understand an actor's skill sets and how I mean, I actually said this the other day. When they're good, you actually try to stay out of the way because.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they know what they're
Yeah,
doing,
yeah.
and what you are is you're the outside eye. Because when an actor's doing their work, they don't obviously want to be watching themselves. They need to be in it, right in it. So but it's definitely an advantage to have done it before, to have been in that world before you do whatever you end up doing. So I don't know that I would ever go back to acting. Would you, Holly?
Oh gosh, yes. I miss it.
You would?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't miss it at all.
Yeah, no, I miss it. I don't miss having to memorize lines. That part I do not miss. That is the part. But that small little role, come in, steal the scene, leave. Great, I'm all for it. Let's do it. Yeah. Yeah. I would also say that we were both in what were labs at Ensemble Studio Theater, where it was part of the lab was that most of us came in as actors, but we were also directing different pieces. We were writing. We were meant to do everything. And many people found out, oh, I'm really a writer. One went off to write for television, and she's been very successful. I'm really a director. And it was kind of exciting to see people, for the first time, I think my first time writing, I was like, but it was so satisfying and directing, but everyone was expected to do everything.
Yeah, which was great because you really learned that just to have, and also taught you not to wait by the phone, like you can always create your own work. And I think that's very important. It's a very important skill to have is like, you can make anything happen if you really want to. You don't need to wait for somebody else to do that for you. And actors, you know, they are a little bit at the mercy sometimes, unless you just take on that attitude of like, I can write this for myself, or I can, you know, I can make it happen. And I think that's an important skill for anybody in the arts, that you just take that that permission to take control. Because, you know, as we know, this our profession isn't really about control, but you have to try and control as much as you can in order to make it work.
Well said, yes. I mean, as Kurt always said to us, do not wait for the phone to ring. Pick it up and make a phone call.
Yeah.
That's great advice.
Go out there and create your own work. There's no reason why you shouldn't.
No.
Yeah.
I think that's
it's a good place to stop, I think, isn't it? Unless unless anyone has a final question or final comment, I feel like leaving things on that note is perfect.
Yeah, thanks very much for having us.
Thank you so much for this, Susie. Thank you, and Sammy, so nice meeting you. Gaynor, good to see you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Recording has stopped.